Now, stay with me here because it's a little complicated but important. Now, first of all, the President of the United States has been put off balance. So you may have noticed it. Donald Trump has lost a little of his swagger. He's always been a guy that struck back against things he didn't think were fair, but now he's doing more of that. And on the COVID thing, he's frustrated. And that's the truth. I know it personally. So Donald Trump is used to, if you read my book, The United States of Trump, controlling everything in his world. And he did that for the first 3 years of his presidency. He was in charge, he controlled. The pandemic comes in, he can't control it. And the American people are scared, many of them. And when people are frightened, they look to the government or their dad or their business, whatever it may be, to protect them. But nobody can protect us from COVID. It's unique in that. So you can't send in the army or the police. There's nothing you can do. And of course, the anti-Trump press blames President Trump for the pandemic, for the contagion. Now, that's not fair. It's not true. Maybe he could have done things better. But think about this. The president has kept the economy and the markets, particularly the stock market, fairly stable. I think that's a pretty good accomplishment in the middle of a pandemic. Now, I'm not trying to promote Donald Trump. I'm trying to inject a bit of fairness here. So if you want to think that President Trump has booted it on COVID, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. But the fact is that Donald Trump has been worn down. Put yourself in his shoes. Just 6 months ago, he thought he had re-election like that. He had a booming economy running against a weak opponent. Okay? Trump thought he was just going to skate right on in there. And then wham, this happens. He's frustrated. And we'll get into that in a little while. Now, I've said if the schools don't open in the fall, Trump loses. And I'm sticking to that, which is why there's so much urgency on the part of the federal government to get these schools open. We'll get into specifics on the schools in a little while. The next thing is that there is a radical left movement. And you all know it. I mean, we've been going over it and over and over it. But that is being obscured by COVID. Because instead of reporting honestly on the radical left movement, the networks and a lot of the cables just do COVID all day. And they ignore the danger, and I mean that literally, from Marxist groups and anarchists. I mean, they ignore it. They're not going to report it. We do. But we look for pickup. Got a little bit of it on the Black Lives Matter Global Foundation. We got it out there. But it wasn't easy. And finally, many of you voters in America are absolutely clueless. A, they're panicked over COVID. B, they don't pay attention. C, it's all about them, not about the country. And so you got a big cadre of voters who, well, on Thursday they're going to vote for Biden, but maybe not on Saturday Trump. They're back and forth. They swing, which is why you see the polls, which don't mean anything now. And finally, the backlash against the radical left and against the anti-police movement has been delayed because of COVID. If there was no COVID, these people could never get away with what they're trying to pull. I mean, you're seeing hundreds of people shot in major cities across the country, and networks ignore it. Mostly ignore it. If there wasn't any COVID, they couldn't do that.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The First.